Top 10 tips for Throne and Liberty. This is especially helpful for people that are expecting to play the game when it comes out globally. Keeping these in mind will probably save you a lot of grief, a lot of time, a lot of like lost progression that I myself had kind of like suffered, because this whole thing about playing Korea is a bit of a learning experience for us. And so we're making all these mistakes so that we don't make them once we get to like the NA launch or the global launch, right? So number one tip I can probably give people is always harvest nodes as you're leveling. The reason why I say that is because harvesting anything in this game gives more XP, and it gives a decent amount once you get to the higher levels. Especially, I know a lot of people go over here sometimes just to farm some mines, like this one over here. So when you're grinding, and a lot of the times you probably have like mana issues, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna wait for your mana to recover, or you can run around and gather these while you're waiting for your mana to recover and get XP and get materials at the same time. Just like a quick example, the one that I just got from that node is the Quality Stalin. Quality Stalin, guess what it does? It actually is used to craft upgrade materials for your armor. So you get like stuff like that. Like anything that you harvest in these nodes are always important. So it's not like harvesting them is a waste. You can even sell it for Lucent, which is the currency that you use to buy things in the marketplace, or sometimes even buying things in the cash shop, right? So that's why you want to harvest those as much as you want, and that way those little gaps in between the main quest and the next main quest, you kind of bridge that a little bit, so you're not grinding mobs or doing random quests in between, struggling to get XP to get to the next part of the story, right? Number two is the bonfire icons in the map. So the bonfire icons, you'll see them all over the map. If you zoom in here a little bit, you'll see some bonfire icons here, some here. So if you're grinding, and let's say that you don't have any nodes to farm around you, no mines, no bushes or anything like that, right? And you want to get your mana up faster so you can keep grinding, or you can keep doing your quest. What you need to do next is you need to find these right here, because you can light them up, you can sit beside them, and then they will help you regen your HP and also your mana as well. That way you can keep moving right after. And then tip number 3, I would highly recommend that you join a guild ASAP. Throne and Liberty has a very high emphasis on group play. It rewards you for being in a guild a lot. What do I mean by that, right? So guild contracts to begin with. Once you do these guild contracts, every time you kill mobs that is a part of a guild contract, you actually get extra XP, you get extra currency, you get extra solants, which is the gold in the game. And then just for example here, right? By being in a guild, in an organized guild that is active, it is very rewarding for you, because as you can see here, for example, like all our players here that ranked a certain rank in the events that they were doing, the open world events that they were doing, because they did well, us as a guild, we actually get rewarded. So it is very crucial that you join a guild as soon as possible, and that you do your best to contribute to that guild, because the amount of contribution that you put into the guild not only helps you, but it helps your guild as a whole, right? So that's why team play and getting good rankings in these events, like for example, if it's a PvP event, you want to make sure that you have your farmers, your wand users, for example, or bow users, to start farming the event currencies and then start submitting them. Meanwhile, your PvP squads could be running around and killing other guilds, preventing them from submitting their resources, and making it so your guild has the higher ranks, and that way your guild gets all these extra resources, right? So probably the biggest advice I can give here is, yeah, absolutely join a guild as soon as possible. Don't think that it's like the best idea to solo in this game. You can get through this game solo, but I'm pretty sure with all the gains that you're going to be missing out on, it is much better not to, right? So number 4 is pay attention to your codex. That is in game. Once you're in game, you just have to press J, and it'll bring you up to your codex here. This is part of your main quest. It tells you what rewards you can receive, and when you get to your final rewards, when you complete all of the quests that are in here, you get to the final rewards, and usually it's something big, like for example the level 51, it gives you a purple or epic level 50 armor that you can craft. And then you also have things here in the exploration. So in the exploration, it shows you partial rewards. So this game, you don't have to do the full quest to get all of the rewards. You get them partially. So let's, like, for example, right over here, right? So the first part of this quest, for example, is collect Akido Valley's Black Mana Stone. So that's part 1 of the quest. Once you do that first part, you get rewards right away. You get this part of the reward, you get XP for that right away. And then when you do the second part, you also get the next set of rewards as well. And then when you get the last part, you get another set of rewards. So let's say, for example, I only want the skill books because I want to train my skill books, right? So I look into the codex and I look for anything that gives skill books. And let's say I don't want this, I don't want this. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'll just do the first part, right? So I do the first part, I get what I want, and maybe later on I'll come back to this when I actually need them, right? Or if I actually want them. So that's probably one of the best things about Throne and Liberty is the fact that you can just pick and choose what you want, right? It's like, do I care about this title? Maybe. But if I don't care about this title and I just want to get this right here, which is another skin for my flying morph or gliding morph, I can just do the second part of this quest and be done with it. That's it. And I'm level 50 now, so you don't see any XP being shown here. But before level 50, before you're capped, it actually shows you how much XP a quest will give you. So if you are trying to get levels faster, you might want to check your codex, which one gives you a lot of XP, and then you might want to do those. So for example, this one right here, the Akido Valley quest, right? So this one was not very, it wasn't very obvious, right? So this one right here, just for example, this first part already, just by talking to the NPC, already gives you 55k XP, right? And just in case you don't know, that's actually pretty huge. And what's even better is this second part right here of this quest, which is a jump puzzle. You get 211k XP from completing that. So that's basically a level once you do that. So if you're missing a level or two towards the next part of the story quest, you can absolutely do this and you will get to the next level, and you won't have to stress doing 10 other quests that might just give the same XP that you would get from doing this jump puzzle for like 10 minutes, assuming your ping is not horrible, right? So pay attention to your codex. It tells you a lot. It will give you all it will show you or tell you all the benefits that you can receive from it. Don't sleep on your codex. Press J. Tip number 5, value your solants, or your solants, however you want to pronounce them. It's basically gold in Throne and Liberty. You want to value them because when you get to higher levels, every death that you suffer is basically costing you a lot of solants. Like for me right now, if I were to die, I would have to pay 36k to remove a death counter. Because in this game, every time you die above 20 and above, so once you have 20 deaths within 10 days, because the death counter is 10 days cooldown, you actually get a debuff that decreases your damage by 10%, and it also decreases your move speed by 10%. So you always want to be below 20 until those previous deaths expire 10 days later. You get like 3 free resurrections a day or free redemptions a day. We can use that, but if you die more than that, especially if you're a tank like me in PvP, it does cost you a lot, right? And you don't want to waste too much Solant on those, because you want to use your Solants to craft upgrade materials. You want them to get your world tree leaves, for example, like these world tree leaves that I have here. You want to spend your money on these because this is basically your pet, which you get for free. It makes it so it heals. It heals you based on your settings. You can have it heal you starting 80% of your HP. You can have it heal you right around 99% of your HP, which is what I have it at as a tank, right? Tip number 6. Do not forget to level your block ability. And this goes double for tanks especially. So in the game, besides the usual mitigation that you have, your evasion, your block rates, all that, you have these defense skills right here on the side. So once you use these, they not only mitigate damage completely, they also have secondary effects. Like for example, for tanks, for Sword and Shield, it has Retaliatory Strike, which if you block somebody with good timing, you deal damage to them back, and you also heal. For Greatsword, for example, it turns into Murderous Draw, which is basically an AoE skill around you, so it's extra DPS for you. So make sure you pay attention to that. And there's going to be a little bit more detail to this later that I'm going to tell you about that you have to pay attention to. And that is going to be our next tip, which is tip number 7. Purple swirls. They are the block mechanic. So it's like playing DDR, I guess, where it's like there's like sometimes you'll see on mobs, regular mobs or bosses, there's gonna be like this purple swirl that's like closing in towards the center, and you have to press your block before that swirl completes swirling, because that usually is a special or especially strong attack or knockback that you have to block, especially if you're a tank and especially if you're DPS and you're squishy. So make sure that you pay attention to that, and I'll put that up on the screen as well using one of my clips. And if you watch my Sword and Shield tanking video, you probably already know what I'm talking about. So, you know, pay attention to those, because they not only make you regenerate HP depending on your weapon, but they also make you do extra damage. Alright? So number 8. Clicking on an area's icon tells you what mobs are in there and what they can potentially drop. So what do I mean by this? So if you go on your map, press M, right? Like you're zooming out. It's like you're looking at all these zones. Like, oh, look at this. The Raging Wilds. What's this little eye on the side here? You click this. It tells you the mobs that are in there. And to go into further detail, when you click on the mobs, it tells you what drops the mobs have, right? So if you go even, that's the boss. You go into like a regular mob. This one, for example, right? You get these right here. You know what I mean? And sometimes certain areas, high level areas especially, they will actually drop purples. Some of these purples are really good and are probably like one of the best placeholders they can have until you get boss gear, right? You're not gonna get boss gear like really quick unless, you know, you're one of the first ones to get it in your guild. So make sure that you pay attention to these, take advantage of this. And if there's something that you're going to want to get, for example, for me as a tank, I'm struggling to find a blue cape right now. And I know for a fact after checking that over here, under Orc Executioner, there is a tank cape that I would want to get. So maybe when I'm doing my contracts at level 50, I might want to do this area right here if I really want this cape. That way, I not only do my daily contracts, but I also do my lithograph / blueprint farm for this cape, right? So 2 birds with 1 stone, why not? Right? Tip number 9. So zooming out of the main map will tell you what weather it is in each region, and this is especially helpful if you have quests that can only be done during rainy weather, something like that. So if you zoom out of your map here, so let's go ahead and zoom out all the way, right? And you can see here right away, right? You can see that in Lazlan, you can see in Stoneguard. So right now, what this tells us is that it is sunny here, or like clear or something like that. But once you have like quests that require you to do them when it's raining, let's say like I'm over here and I have to do a quest over here on the other side when it's raining, because there are quests like that, you will see rain on here instead. And that's how you know that, okay, maybe I should go over there now, port over there, and then do my quest now, right? So pay attention to that. It will make your life a lot easier. It will make you get quests done a lot faster and without having to worry about if it's raining on the other side of the world. On to tip number 10. So we talked about contracts earlier, and I know it's tempting to do them early, especially if you don't have much quests to do. The thing is, even though they give some good stuff early on, it usually is not worth doing them that early. What you want to do is you want to get to level 50 as soon as possible, and you want to start doing those contracts, because at level 50, the rewards that these contracts do compared to like level 49 and below is way better. You just get more upgrade materials, you get more basically, yeah, you get more upgrade materials for your armor, more upgrade materials for your weapon, more upgrade materials for your accessories, which just makes it so every contract token or a contract stack that you have, it just adds more value to it. So you want to get to 50 as soon as you can and then start doing those, but don't do them earlier. Only do the ones that the main quest requires you to do. And this is especially important if you're free to play. If you're free to play and you do this, then you're in a good spot, right? If you're not free to play and you spend a little bit, then you're in an even better spot. You know what I mean? So just go ahead and do that. Unless you're like a super whale, then maybe, you know, you could just do them, get to 50 faster, and make up for it with some swipity swipe. But anyway, that is the 10 tips. I know I said 10 tips, but I actually have a few more tips to give you. So call this like a bonus round because right along with the contracts, once you get to 50, there's actually this little gotcha thing where you could do a contract and you can get it, and it gives a chance to drop purple or epic blueprints. The purple equipment that this thing drops, you would think that it's like some random equipment that might not be that good, but they're actually really good. But it is RNG. But the good thing is they also drop blue equipment, and it might drop blue equipment that you're missing currently, so you can transfer them over from green to blue. So another bonus tip that I wanted to give people is, so this is like a bonus tip, is that do not transfer gear to the next rarity unless it's already capped in upgrades. So what do I mean by that, right? So what do I mean by that? Right now, you can see this one right here, this ring, it's not maxed out yet, right? Because for greens, their max upgrade is +6, right? So the reason why you want to do that is because you want this to be the highest possible value. That way you get the most upgrades transferred over to the next rarity. Same thing with blue. Blue, you want them to be +9 first, and then you transfer them over to purple so they start at +6. Because otherwise, the upgrade of blue compared to green, and the upgrade especially epic compared to blue, is insanely expensive. And you don't want to transfer it early, even though you have, let's say I had this armor already, but if my blue armor at the time was like +5, I would not transfer it, and I would wait for it to be +9 before I transfer it. Otherwise, you will suffer a heavy, and I do mean a heavy loss, and you don't want to do that. Because even if you are pay to win, even if you spend money on this game, there is no point, because like you're just going to cost yourself a lot more expenses if you are impatient and you transfer it early. So don't transfer stuff early. That is probably one of the biggest pitfalls that a lot of like newbies may or may not know, and they end up doing it early because obviously epic armor looks tempting, it looks better as well. So don't fall for that trap. Max out your gear first in refines, and then transfer it over to the next rarity. All right, so another bonus tip is a morphing to avoid enemies. So what do I mean by that? So in this game, if you press F10, you go to morph up here, and then you go to special. You can notice that you can morph into mobs as well. So what does this do? There are actually mobs, and this is not only for PvE, by the way. In PvP, when you transform into a mob, they will see you exactly like a mob. So you can actually hide from people and stand over here with these trees, and they will not know that you're a player unless they attack you. So, bro, look. You can see here, if I get close to this, it attacks me, right? So now let's run away from this all the way to where the aggro's, and maybe let's transform into something like the tree over there, right? So let's transfer into a Temitron. Now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna walk over there to where they are. See that? There's a flower over there. We know that that flower is aggressive, so it should attack me, right? But then I'm getting close. I'm walking around. You know what I mean? I'm actually like dancing around him. He doesn't attack me. So use that to your advantage. Whether it's for PvE or PvP, there's a lot of things that you can skip. There's a lot of plays that you can make in PvP. Use that tip wisely and strategically. Alright? So after that one, I still have another one. Bonus tip? I guess, yeah, I guess you could call it like that, right? So going back to contracts, there are things called contract coins. So every time you do a contract, you get these things called contract coins. Now, what do you do with contract coins? This is something that I really advise you to not forget to do every day. Missing out on a few days, that's fine, right? It's not a big deal. But these right here, you see these? You want to buy these out every day because they add up, right? The reason why you do contracts is because of these things right here. These upgrades, these upgrade materials. So make sure that you get these every day as much as you can once you start stacking up these contract coins, because they are important to your progression. And this is especially important for free-to-play players. You want to do these. You want to get these as much as possible. And another tip. I know I said top 10 tips, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to help you out. Once you are in a guild and you do all these contributions, you get these guild coins, right? So once you get these guild coins, you want to max these out every single day. Don't care about these. Don't worry about these for now, right? Don't worry about these. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this, this, or this. Belandir, she's not even out yet. Don't even worry about her right now. She's one of like the open world bosses. But always max this out. Mana regen potion, max those out because you can't get them anywhere else. Just at the guild shop. This one as well. You're gonna be using this a lot, so make sure that you buy these every day. Limit of 30 every day. Trust me, you'll have enough guild coins. So max these out every day. Stack them up, because sooner or later you're gonna use them all up. All right, and that's basically it. If I find more tips to give you guys, then I'll update it here. I'll make another video if this has been helpful, and hopefully this helps you guys for when Throwing Liberty is launching in global or in NA or wherever across the world besides Korea. Hopefully these mistakes that I've made and learned from help you so you don't make the same mistakes and it doesn't hamper your progression the way that it has mine. I'll see you guys in the next video.